Alright, hey everybody, how's it going? It's the Chad and the Themtgnoob. We're bringing you another live card deck tech. In the standard format, this is the Jund mid-range list. It's seen a lot of top 8s ever since the Pro Tour. This is just a solid list that keeps you in every single Magic game that you play. It's a very grindy mid-range deck with a lot of removal and a lot of value creatures. We're going to try and go through this real quick so that you guys can get on to more YouTube surfing or whatever you're up to. We're going to talk about the Rampers real quick. Okay, we got 2 Arbor Elves. The reason there's only 2 in here as opposed to 4 or whatever is that we only have 10 forest targets in our mana base, which can be troublesome. So Arbor Elf, oftentimes they'll just eat removal, but that's okay. We'd rather our Arbor Elf eat removal than our turn 3 Huntmaster of the Fells. We're running 4 of Farseek. This really isn't an option just because the mana base is so rough that we really need to be able to fetch up the right dual lands. So not only does this ramp, but it also fixes. Very, very strong card and absolute mandatory 4 of in any of these Jund mid-range lists. So I totally recommend that. You can see the F&M promo. It's a very pretty card. So let's talk about the creatures. There's not very many. We have, I think, 11 creatures total in this deck. The 4 drops, we're running 3 of Olivia Voldaren. Low focus camera, thank you, stay with me. 3 of Olivia Voldaren. I don't need to tell you why this card is strong. Being able to ping a dude and then steal it is ridiculously brutal. Not to mention she's a 3/3 flyer, which is absolutely a thing. Oftentimes, Olivia Voldaren can just stick around and win. Sometimes in the mirror match, the game comes down to who has the Olivia at the end of the game. Also, we're running 4 of Huntmaster. This guy's a guaranteed 2-for-1 with the threat of the flip being actually part of the reason why I don't know, this card is obviously not overlooked because, well, it's trying to replace Bloodbraid Elf in Modern, if that tells you how strong this card is. But it's a guaranteed 2-for-1, and for instance, Naya, or not Naya, but rather like Esper Control and American Flash, where they would rather be doing stuff on your turn, they're not likely to just play a land and pass when they have a 4/4 Trampler staring them in the face after that. So that's something to consider also when you're playing Huntmaster of the Fells, is basically makes your opponents play spells, and if they can't, they got a problem. 4 of Thragtusk, I don't need to talk about this guy. Again, another value dude, 2-for-1, really strong against sweepers, especially with the Kessig Wolfrun in play. Gaining you 5 life and helping you stabilize against aggro. This card is a staple in the format and is just so strong. I mean, clearly he's the best green creature in the format, and there's a reason why he's seen play all over the place. 4 of Thragtusk, they're not an option. Let's move on to our Planeswalkers. We're running 3 of Liliana of the Veil. This card, being able to cause your opponent to sacrifice a creature on turn 3, or even sometimes turn 2 if you can get a Farseek into it, is absolutely just a great ability. Or late game, you can help grind out card advantage against control and also the mirror. So Liliana is a 3 of. You could also go down to 2. I mean, 2 is fine. She hasn't been really an all-star for me, but again, that sacrifice ability really comes off big when you need it. 2 Guru Primal Hunters in the main board is a threat that control has to deal with. Aggro has an impossible time dealing with, and not to mention being able to draw a bunch of cards off of a big Olivia or a Thragtusk and refill your hand with removal or whatever is a huge ability there. Guru Primal Hunter. So on to our removal. This is where stuff gets a little bit foggy just because we have so much removal in the format right now, but none of it's like come out as clearly the best removal. So I'm running 2 of Dreadbore. Your mileage may vary. It is a sorcery speed removal spell, which is kind of a bummer because sometimes we would rather just pass the turn, flip the Huntmaster, and then kill something at instant speed, which this card doesn't give us that option. But the fact that it just kills whatever or a troublesome Planeswalker that we would rather not waste damage swinging at is a benefit. We're running a Miser's 1 of Victim of Night. I like this card a lot because zombies has kind of gone away. We're not seeing as many Geralf Messengers and Grave Crawlers and all of that jazz. Unfortunately, it doesn't deal with the Falkenrath Aristocrat, which is a bummer. It also doesn't deal with an opposing Huntmaster of the Fells, but it does deal with a lot of things for 2 at instant speed. So 1 of their... Whoa, I just dropped you on your head. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. So I might kick that up to 2. I'll talk about why here in just a second. Running 3 of Abrupt Decays. Are you guys okay? You took a hard fall there. I apologize for that. Abrupt Decay is great because it can deal with, well, Detention Sphere. Anything that's running Detention Sphere is great. This is a great card against that. Also destroying, big, nasty Champion of the Parishes and stuff late game. This is a great card. We are running 3 of Tragic Slip. Now this is where I might go down to 2. Because we don't have the ability to trigger Morbid by ourselves, we're relying on combat damage and trading and stuff, which we don't have a lot of dudes to be trading away for nothing. So Tragic Slip isn't really super great. The thing that it does deal with is a big, nasty Falconwrath Aristocrat, which we really have a hard time dealing with. Other than our Olivia Valdarin, we have no answers. So Tragic Slip provides another out to that card. Mana base is all of the dual lands. I don't really need to go through that. We are running 2 extra forests just to give our Arboreals a couple extra targets, and Kessig Wolf Run. I can thumb through these really quick. We're running 4 of Overgrown Tomb, 4 Woodland Cemeteries, 4 Blood Crypt with only 3 Dragon Skull Summits, 2 Rootbound Crags. Instead of 4, we're running 2 Rootbound Crags, 2 forests, and 4 Stomping Grounds. So that's the mana base. Should probably talk about our X spells real quick. We have Bonfire of the Damned. This card is an all-star. Tonight it trumped a Miracled Entreat the Angels, and I just cast it out of my hand for 4. Like I said, this deck is grindy. It goes late, and you can have the mana to do huge bonfires late game. Also, Rakdos Return, being able to get your opponent's Angel of Serenity out of their hand if they're thinking they're going to hard cast it, is big game. Angel of Serenity really just wrecks this list, so Rakdos returning it out of a hand late game is strong. It can also just finish your opponent off, if they're at 8 or whatever and you got a ton of mana. Whatever. Just do it to it. So the sideboard, we're mostly geared up to take on control. Garruk Primal Hunter is very hard for control to deal with a lot of Supreme Verdicts and whatever. Basically, they have to run Cleaner Plumsing or counter it, otherwise they're in trouble. Duresses, because Sphinx's Revelation is a thing. Also, it's nice to be able to pick off some of their little spot removal or whatever. 2 Slaughter Games for the same reason. Underworld Connections to keep up in card advantage against a lot of Think Twicing and stuff. Staff of Nin for the same reason. Double Acidic Slime to deal with, again, Detention Spheres, as well as like not Creek, but Witchbane Orbs, which people are boarding in the sideboard against Jund quite often. Ground Seal to deal with Reanimator. It also cycles as well, so that's why it's in here as opposed to like Grafdigger's Cage, because it draws you a card. 2 more Bonfire of the Damned against aggro. It's usually not good to be playing Rakdos Return, just because they vomit their whole hand onto the board. And then 1 additional Dreadborn in case somebody's playing like Esper Walkers or whatever. So that's the Jund list, you guys. Hopefully you run it. Hopefully you do well. Check us out, themtgnoob.com, twitch.tv/themtgnoob, and all of the social medias. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.